All right. How's it going, Mario? Can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Oh,
I'm doing all
fantastic.
right. How are you?
Doing well. Doing well. Thanks for asking. All right. Glad you're here. Okay. Mario,
Well,
how old are you?
I'm 28.
28? Okay. Fantastic.
You got it.
Yeah. You just got to be over
Feeling
18.
great.
Okay. Fantastic. Okay. And which God do you believe in? The God of the Bible, the Torah, or the Quran?
Well, of course, the Bible.
Okay. All
Of
right.
The
course.
God of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob.
Fantastic. All right.
Yeah,
What's your
Yahweh.
what's your best
Yes.
evidence that God is real?
Well, first and foremost, I'm not here to prove or disprove necessarily that. I was more about the. I was just wanted to focus on what you like, kind of my perspective on, I guess, God and the way that you guys were talking about like slavery and all that.
Hmm.
With God and free will, obviously, the only way for him to be able to remove something like that out of, you know, humans just trying to do the absolute worst things is basically manipulation. That wouldn't be free will. So the only way for him to be able to counteract that would be applying laws that would sooner or later break down those institutions,
Okay.
such as like with Jesus Christ. Because
Okay.
I mean, at the end of the day, you wouldn't want a God who's going to just say, "Hey, slavery is bad. You guys are now controlled to not do that," because that would in turn be slavery and hypocritical.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Hmm. Is there slavery in heaven?
Define slavery, though.
Okay. Well, you define slavery because you're the one that brought it up. So
I would
what?
say that it's someone
How
who
about the
is being
slavery that
controlled
you were?
against their will.
Okay, so is this the same slavery that you were just talking about, like 40
Yeah,
seconds
yeah.
ago? Okay,
I'm
so
asking for your definition so we can meet at the same.
yeah,
You
I'll
know what I'm
take that
saying?
definition. That's
Because
fine. Yeah, I'll take your definition.
okay,
So is that form of
what?
slavery done in heaven?
No,
No. Okay. Is there free will in heaven?
there's no need for free will in heaven.
That's not what I asked. Is there free will in heaven?
No,
No, there's no free will in heaven.
but that's more for lack of existence. It's not because there's no free will, as in
Okay.
there's no will. That's like saying, if there's no air in a
Why
room,
why is there no free
there's
will
no
in
air in
heaven?
the room.
Yeah. Why is there no free will in heaven?
Why would anyone need a will if we're all in God's kingdom
Yeah. Okay.
and
So
living eternal life? What
okay.
will do you need at that point? You're living God's will,
Okay. So you're saying
and God is good,
there's no
and
free
His will is
hold on,
good.
there's no free will because it's not needed there?
Exactly.
Why is it not needed there?
What what do you need to will?
Okay.
If you have everything, what do you need to
You have
will?
everything. So we could have done this oh, thank you
I'm saying,
everybody.
and if you're like, okay, imagine a utopia. Imagine a utopia.
Hmm.
The biggest problem with utopias and perfect societies is the fact that people will end up being bored or something, right?
Hmm.
Because there's no conflict or whatever. Same concept there. There's no will because that would in turn cause that to happen. It's not the same. You don't have the same desires. You don't have the same. Um, you don't fall into sin. It's all out the window at that point
Okay.
because you're free. You're free
So
from that.
okay, so God could have so God could have made it this way, that way down here or here on earth, but chose not to, right?
Right, because then again, that would be slavery, or basically he would have to control every person's entire will to get them to that point.
Yeah.
You choose whether to be with God or not. Because
Okay.
here's the thing: heaven is with God, hell and purgatory, you're separated from
Okay, so
God.
what I'm trying
The
to
only way that
understand,
you
hold on, Mario. What I'm trying to understand is then why didn't God make it this way that it is in heaven?
would it be real? It's like faking love. I mean, if I have someone next to me,
Okay.
I'm forcing them to tell me,
So
you
heaven
love
isn't
me.
real?
That's not real
Well, I
love.
don't understand
So
that. Heaven isn't real? It's not, people don't
no, no,
really love
no.
God?
Listen to what I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying.
This
If you
doesn't make
force
sense.
people into heaven, if you force people into heaven, right? Does it actually become that's not love. Again, that's not love.
Okay.
You have to make sure that they have the journey to make it to heaven.
Is God all
Otherwise,
knowing?
yes, yes, he is.
God is all knowing. So
Mhm.
does God has God known eternally what's in my heart and mind?
Well, if you're talking about eternity,
Yeah,
right? That's
throughout
outside of
throughout
the
eternity has
limits of space and time. So that wouldn't apply to you, would it?
okay. So
You're a temporal being asking for an intemporal
did God know
activity. It doesn't make
eternally
sense.
that he was going to create me?
You were created eternally. That's how it works. You were, if you were a
Did
thought
God
in his
know
head,
eternal?
you
Yeah.
create at the
So when
yes.
did I become a thought in God's head?
When did you become? Do you hear what you're saying?
Yeah.
He's
When
an
did I?
eternal being. You can't ask when.
I didn't ask if I was an eternal being. I asked when.
No, not you, him. He's an eternal being. You
Okay.
can't ask when to an eternal being.
Okay.
That doesn't make sense. That
So
question is flawed.
okay. So eternally I was in God's mind, right?
I'm going to follow you here, but remember what I'm saying. You cannot ask a temporal question to it's outside the limits of space and time. But yes, go ahead.
I asked you eternally. I have been in God's mind eternally. Right? Because you can't have it both ways. You can't declare God as eternal and then okay. So
no, I'm not having it both ways. I'm not having it
well,
both ways.
I just
Eternity is
you
outside
said
of
you
space
can't
and time.
ask if you can't ask a temporal question, but I asked you eternally if I was in God's mind. So that means eternally God has always known what's in my mind and heart, right? God always knew I would be this way.
You're saying always, as
Yeah,
if there
eternally.
was a beginning
God
and an end to
God
that.
eternally
Is outside of that. He exists outside of time. He
God
doesn't need us.
Okay, God eternally knew I would be this way, correct?
Do you have free will? Yes or no?
Okay, you're dodging my question. God eternally knew I would be this way,
I'm not
correct?
dodging your question. I know the line of logic you're going to
It's a
follow,
yes.
sir.
It's a yes or no. Then
I know
answer.
what you're going to say.
You
You're
have
gonna
no
say,
fucking
did God
idea where I'm
make
going
me-
with this, Mario.
Did God make me sin? Did God make me go
You
to
didn't.
hell?
You don't know.
Sir,
You
that's
don't
not the
know.
point.
You don't know which way I'm going with this. You have no idea where I'm
Okay,
going
all
with
right,
this.
let's
You
go.
are not a
I'm gonna
mind
follow
reader.
it. I'm going to follow.
All right.
I'm going to be
Yeah.
respectful.
So just
I'm going to be
let's
respectful.
just track the questions. So
I'm
my
going to
question.
play along. I'm going to play along.
So eternally, did God know I was I was going to be this way?
I cannot answer that question because, again, at the end of the day, you can't say always and eternally in the same sentence. It doesn't make sense.
I didn't say eternally in the same sentence. I changed it from always to eternally. So I asked you, has God eternally known I'm going to be this way? I am the way that I am.
Right. He knew you since you were created in the womb. Yeah.
He's known me since I was created in the womb. Okay. Fantastic. So,
okay. Let's go.
Okay. So if that's the case,
yep. Don't bring up all.
Does that mean?
Making me a sinner,
hold on.
why didn't
Let's not jump ahead. Let's not jump ahead. I don't jump ahead when you talk. All right. So just hold on. Stay focused. So just stay with me for a second. So what you're telling me then is that I had to be here on earth in order to earn my way into heaven. And God always has known me since I was formed in the womb, right? He's always known what's in my mind and heart since I was formed in the womb. Yet I had to, and so what was the purpose of me being here?
To be a vessel of wrath.
What do you mean?
If God has always known what's in my mind and heart since I was formed in the womb, you just affirm that.
Adam? Why do you think?
Okay, you're still ducking my question. So
no, because you're trying to. It's chicken and the egg. That's what you're doing.
It's not chicken and the egg. It's not chicken. Okay, you're still jumping ahead. Okay, so we need to have a we need to have a conversation. You're not responding to anything I'm saying. You're trying to jump ahead, and we're not going to do that. We're going to stay linear. All right. So what I'm asking you is, if God has always known what's in my mind and heart since I was formed in the womb, you agree with that, right? That's true.
No. Let's just move on. Let's not talk about what I agree with right now. Let's just move on with your line of logic here. I want to see where this goes.
Okay. So, well, I need you to agree or disagree.
I'm not going to agree or disagree. I just want to follow your line of logic.
You're not going to agree or disagree? Okay, then
I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not here to convert you or anything. God doesn't need you to exist. You need God to exist. So please continue.
Okay. Well, we need you to demonstrate that, and this is part of the demonstration.
No.
If we're going to,
I just want to hear your opinion.
Okay. Well, what are we here for? Because I asked for.
I want to hear your thoughts.
I asked for.
I want to hear your opinion.
Okay. Do you see what it says above my head?
You're an atheist. What's your best evidence that God is real?
So that is called implied consent. All right. When you come into my live, there's a question up on the board. The implication is that you're going to answer the question. Okay. So coming in here saying, "Hey, I'm not," consent, it's not forced consent.
You're basically roping people into being.
Who forced you to come in here? Who forced you to come in here?
Well, no. I'm saying
Who
if someone
forced
comes
you
in
to
there,
come
then
in
you
here?
can't just
You called
control the
us.
Mario,
line
You
of
called
who
us.
forced you to
You
come in
called
here?
us. You
nobody.
called us.
Whoa. Listen to what I just said. Listen to what I just said. You're allowing people, dude. If someone allows you into their home and then they don't let you out or control every move that you do inside of their home, that is considered kidnap. That is a crazy thing to do. That's not
This
being
is,
Are you
oh
civil.
my
suggesting
God.
we're
Are you
kidnapping
fucking
you?
serious?
We
No, this
virtually
is,
kidnapped
no,
him.
that's not what this is
That's
at
what
all,
you just
Mario.
said.
Wow.
That's what you just
What
said.
this
Implied
is,
consent is you opening the door into like a
yeah,
den of whatever.
yeah. So if I have, and
You
if
have
there's
the
a,
freedom to
It's
leave
very rude for you to
anytime
use
you
that
want,
question
sir.
as
yeah,
You
like
have
a
the
question
freedom
like
to
that.
leave
okay,
I'm literally
anytime you
asking for
fucking
your
want.
opinion,
yeah,
so that way I can understand where you're coming from.
yeah. And
How am I
so,
gonna just come in here and say, "Oh, this is not"? No. You got to
Yep,
know the
that's
person
it. Yep,
first. So I'm
we're
trying to
like we're
understand where you're
international
coming from.
hackers.
Please continue.
We hacked your microphone. We kept you. We're holding you
yeah.
hostage. Yep, that's the case.
I mean,
Jesus
what's the
Christ.
first thing under that? It says, "Give respect, get respect."
Yeah.
Come on,
And
man.
so giving respect means you answer the question. And the question is, what's your best evidence that God is real? So are you
No,
saying that you
we're
don't have
having
any,
with the agree
are you,
disagree. You're
are you
making me
saying that you
agree or
don't have
disagree
any
with your
evidence?
statements. I just want to hear your statements. Why
Okay.
do I have to agree or disagree?
Do you have any evidence that God is real? Yes or no?
Oh my God.
Do you have evidence that God is real? Yes or no?
Is it so?
I
You are
guess
going to
that's
use
a
the question as
no.
a crutch, aren't you?
Do you
Is that
have
a no?
evidence that
We're
God is
not going
real?
to discuss any. Okay, so here we go. Here we go.
Do you
Here we
have
go.
evidence that God is
I'm not.
real?
I'm not
Yes
going
or
to
no?
answer. I'm not going to answer your question because again, at the end.
All right. So
All right. Bye.
this is okay. It's very simple. All right. If you come into my live and you want to discuss whether or not God is real, have evidence that God is real. That's it. It's very simple. Okay. That's what it says. What's your best evidence that God is real? This is not hard. So if that's what it says, then the implication is you're going to come up here and you're going to answer the question. I mean, that's pretty fucking obvious, right? Is it not obvious? If there's a question up there, the I'm just going to assume
You're not going crazy, trust.
you're
I
here to
mean,
answer the question. I mean,
yes. No. Like this is you're not
yeah,
going crazy.
this is just, it's just that it just, oh my God, just that some people just operate like in their own little world. Like,
That's like the first time I've ever like been accused of kidnapping somebody.
yeah, you're a kidnapper. How about
I
that?
guess so. Jesus.
We're just here.
I didn't
Yeah.
even have to try too. I'm just sitting here in my computer chair and I'm kidnapping
Well,
people.
hey,
That's
according to
wow.
Hutu, we're not committing a sin because technically God didn't say you
Oh
couldn't do
yeah,
it.
that's right.
Yeah, it's morally
Exactly. Like
neutral.
Leviticus. Yeah, I think what is it?
So
Leviticus
we're not
25. You
committing
can
any
go,
sins.
you can go kidnap your neighbors and make them
Exactly.
your slaves.
Yeah,
I guess we were making them our slaves. We were just following the Christian
exactly.
values, just making our neighbors slaves and kidnapping them on our lives.
Exactly. Wow, that was wild. This is wild. We've had some wild guests today, man. Yeah. Man. Pretty feral. Okay. Well, we got free 3 pips who's up. So there must be like an announcement or something. So 3 pips. Something you have to say?
Oh, sorry, that was an accident.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it's
Well,
okay.
it's
Live long and prosper.
It's a happy accident. Yeah. Live long and prosper. We love 3 pips. So that was interesting. All right. So, okay. So if you are in the guest queue, you have to be at least 18 years old. You have to believe in the God of the Bible, the Torah, or the Quran, and you have to have evidence that God is real. So we're going to be asking for that. If you don't have any evidence that God is real, then please keep swiping. Move on to the next one. All right. So let's move on to the next guest out of the TikTok queue. We have Caliph. How's it going?
Hello. What's
Hi.
going on, host? How are
Hey,
you?
I'm doing well. How old are you?
27.
All right. Fantastic. And which God do you believe in?
Hello, how are you?
I'm well. How are you? I remember actually speaking to you, hosts, like maybe a year and a half ago when I first started TikTok. I hopped on your panel. You were talking about some epistemology. Yeah. So.
Oh yeah, that was a long
thank
time
you for
ago.
having me.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah. Okay, well, glad you're back. Okay, so we're looking for I've kind of streamlined it a little bit, so we're just going to get straight to the crux of the question. So, what's your best evidence that God is real?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I'm an Orthodox Christian. Just to set that, my best evidence that God is real is the created order, the intelligent created order that we are a part of. I do not believe this can be done by chance. I believe there is a mind. So
Okay.
if there is a mind, then there must be, a creator of the thing. But that's just one piece. But yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So your best evidence is, if I'm hearing you right, is that you see that a mind had to create all the order that we see. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct.
All right. And what is your evidence of that?
Well, creation itself.
Creation itself? How so? Because that just assumes that, well, I mean, things were created, yes. It's just created by what is the question. So then how do we how do we do like a basic of comparison? So how did you compare it to something that wasn't created by God to determine that it was created by God? Like, how do you make the distinguishing? What's the distinguishing factor on something that's not created by God? What are those distinguishing characteristics versus something that is created by God?
What would you categorize as something not created by God?
Something not created by God? A car? Or unless you think God created cars? I don't know. I think it really depends what you think. Yeah.
Yeah, no, every aspect.
Like the grilled cheese sandwich I had for lunch today? I don't think God created that. Of course. Right? So
of course,
yeah.
But you didn't create the components of that cheese, the grilled cheese sandwich.
Okay.
Nor did you create the components of the car. So we have a mind as well that we are able to put together.
Yeah.
That car, right? That's obviously an intelligent design to some degree.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't believe in anything. I don't believe there's a category of things not created by God.
There's a category of things not created by God. Okay. So what are then what are the distinguishing characteristics of something created by God then? I guess that's what I'm trying to understand.
Something that we see and we experience that has intricacy, and
intricacy.
Yeah, like there are things within creation that we would be like we are still unable to fathom and to understand, showing that it is not by chance that this thing came into existence, and certainly if we can't recreate this thing or we can't understand how it was created, then therefore there must be a mind that is higher than our mind that is able to put this thing into existence.
Yeah, how so though? How do you get to that conclusion? Because that seems like a leap. If we can't understand why things are here, then something else another mind must have created it, since we don't understand it. Isn't that an argument from ignorance?
No, not necessarily, because someone, for example, who doesn't understand, let's say, how something in the created order is put together, just like you said, a car, for example, something that we created. Just because someone doesn't understand how this thing is put together does not necessarily mean that it doesn't have a creator. It has a creator, just as long as this person understands, is able to understand how this thing is created, then understands that there is a mind.
Okay. So what you're saying then is if there's, just because somebody doesn't understand how a car is created doesn't mean that a mind didn't create it, which I'm inclined to agree with. What I'm trying to understand though is that there are clear characteristics on how we know a car was created. For example, metal alloys, right? So cars have metal alloys, and metal alloys aren't found naturally. So those have to be like created by humans. Things like the tires and things of that sort. We just know those things have to be created by humans because we can observe that. That's something we have observed. So we've never ever observed like a car just occurring naturally, right? So that's what I'm trying to understand is that there are specific markers or signatures that indicate a car was created by a human. And we have those signatures. So that's why I'm asking for like the signature of a planet. Like, how do you know that God created a planet? Like, what are the signatures indicating to you God created a planet?
Beautiful. So if we go back to the car analogy for a second, I'm giving you evidence, specifically the evidence of an intelligent mind. So when we look at a car motor, for example, We know that this car motor, with all the different aspects to it, all the pieces of metal and all the, springs and everything that is related to it, that's not going to happen and come into existence by chance. There had to have been a mind that created it, put it together, assembled it. That requires intelligence, that requires reason,
Sure.
that requires, these things. So that's what I'm using as analogy for the created order that we are a part of, that we live in. Everything
Right.
from, science to, to the everything in the created order.
Scientists don't think things are created by chance, though. Because that would mean, because that would be random. That would mean, completely, totally random, something like that. That's not what scientists believe. So
But scientists aren't even concerned as to why something came into existence. They're concerned about the existence itself,
right.
and how the existence works.
Right. So so we're talking about the why. I agree with that. But what I'm saying is that it seems to be a category area when you say it's done by chance, because no one who knows what they're talking about as far as science goes doesn't think all this was done by chance. No one says that.
I don't believe it. No, I'm not saying it happened by chance. What I'm saying is that when we observe a car motor, for example, or an engine, we know that it didn't happen by chance, and we know for a fact that there is an intelligent mind that put this thing together.
Okay.
Right? So for something that is intricate, I'm saying there must be a mind, an intelligent mind, that put the created order into existence because of its intricacy and because of its, whatever, like the way it's designed, the way it works.
But I mean, that's the thing, is that sounds like that's that's presupposing that it's designed. And because a design also, like with a car, a design has something like blueprints, right? So that's like something that a car has, right? So there are like design blueprints, there are specifications, things of that sort. So if we go back to the planet example, what blueprint do we have of a planet? What specifications do we have of a planet?
Right, but the blueprint still required a mind to put it together, correct? That's
right.
how a creation starts.
Yeah, and I'm saying though, then one indicator of a mind creating something is a blueprint, right? Like a plan. So where is this plan for a planet? Where is the blueprint for a planet? And so if you don't have a blueprint for a planet, how do you know a mind created it?
No, but you're agreeing with me because you're agreeing to the fact, and you're the one stating that a blueprint is required for a car to be put together. And a blueprint.
Well, everything that we know that's been created by humans has a blueprint, has some type of blueprint, right? Has some type of plan.
And it requires an intelligent mind
to make the blueprint as well, right? Yeah. So that means that a clue would be if you found a blueprint of a planet, if you found a blueprint of a tree, of an ox, of dirt. So where are these blueprints?
Wait, but one second. When the car is put together, we know that a blueprint is necessary, right?
A blueprint is necessary, correct.
Okay, good. So,
and we can find those blueprints, right?
Well, of course, but that's part of our created order.
Fantastic.
That's part of the intelligence.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, so all right, go ahead.
Yeah. So from that perspective, if a blueprint is necessary when we see an intricate creation, right, and a blueprint requires an intelligent mind, why are you not agreeing to the fact that if we see a created intelligent design, that we know that a blueprint is necessary, whether we can see it or not, the fact that it is required for that thing to come into existence, and therefore there's a mind? Because
without the blueprint, you're presupposing that that's intelligently created. And I'm telling you, without the blueprint, we have no way to determine whether or not it was intelligently created by a mind.
Okay,
we have no way to determine that.
So if a car does not have a blueprint, if something that we create does not,
no, it's a category error, because a car would not come into existence without a blueprint. We know this. We already know this because, like I said earlier, a car will just not appear naturally. We don't encounter cars in nature, right? You would agree with that?
Correct. Obviously,
okay.
Yeah.
So that's one way we know. We just don't stumble upon cars. Number one. Number two, we know for a fact that cars are made from blueprints, from plans, right? So we know a mind created those. So that's why I'm asking you. For a planet, for a tree, for a rock, where are the blueprints? Because if one signature is of a mind creating something is like some type of blueprint, like a cake is a recipe. You would agree that a recipe is a blueprint, right? For a cake, or a tri-tip roast, right? So that's a type of blueprint, a recipe. So instructions that we have to follow. So where are these instructions for planets? Where are these blueprints, these recipes, these instructions, whatever you want to call them, Caliph? Where are they for planets, for trees, for rocks, for dirt, for oceans, all that stuff? Where are they?
Yeah, so I think you're committing a category error because you're assuming that God creates in the same way that we create. I'm simply using it as an analogy for a mind, for the
Okay.
existence of a mind
Okay.
that
Then
puts together this thing. So I don't
right.
necessarily agree that a
All right.
blueprint is necessary for God. If it's a mind.
Okay, great. So let's correct the category error then, and which simply is just describe how God creates things.
Well, you asked me for evidence, and I'm giving you evidence, and we agreed that if there is an intelligent creation,
you gave evidence,
then
and
there
we're
must be a
looking
mind.
at the evidence, or we're examining the evidence to see if it actually is
Correct.
evidence. You've offered what you think is evidence, and I'm asking you questions about it, Caleb. So it's not just, hey, here's what I say, and I say, okay, that sounds good. Have a good day. It's not like that. It's Caleb. It's like, okay, well, let's look at your evidence, to see actually if it meets the test of evidence, right? So this is what I'm doing. This is what the test is, right? So if you're bringing up, hey, you trust you committed a category error because you're assuming that God creates the same way we do. Well, no, I'm not assuming that, Caleb. All I'm saying is from what we know, everything that we know about making things, about creating things, they require recipes, instructions, blueprints, whatever, right? And you agreed with me on that. That's everything we know. So I'm only going by what I know. Now you're trying to tell me, well, you don't know that God does this. And now I'm asking you, okay, since you're telling me that, Caliph, how does God do it?
Right. And that's why I said, regardless of the blueprint, right, the primary source is a mind, right? That we said creates a blueprint
For those
and
blueprints. Yeah. So that means there's blueprints. Yeah.
Right, but the mind is necessary for the blueprints, correct? And in turn, the creation of the car.
Right. So wouldn't you agree, Caliph, that if a mind is necessary for the blueprints, an indicator that there is a mind behind planets, trees, rocks, dirt, all that stuff, there's blueprints somewhere. You'd agree with that, right? I think you got a call.
Oh, sorry, I got a notification.
Yeah, no worries. That's what I thought.
I'm saying the mind is what's necessary. The mind is what's primary. So the mind will then create the blueprint, but the blueprint is not necessary to prove the mind. The creation is enough evidence to show that there is a mind that put that thing together. Like, I don't know why
and I'm rejecting that. That's what I'm telling you. I reject that.
Why are you rejecting that?
The reason I'm rejecting it is because you haven't given any distinguishing characteristics on why a tree and a rock and all that are all created versus we know that a car is created. And the distinguishing characteristic I came up with is a signature is an instruction, a blueprint, something like that. And so that's why I'm asking you, where are the blueprints for trees, for rocks, for oceans, for dirt, all that stuff that God supposedly created?
Do we agree that the human body is a sophisticated, intricate creation?
Yes, and very, very flawed.
Existence.
It's very intricate, very advanced. Yeah, all that stuff, but it's extremely flawed. Yes.
Good. Did you believe it came into existence by chance, randomly?
No, and I already told you nobody believes that.
Okay, beautiful. So in that case, what I was saying earlier in terms of the mind that is required for something intricate to come into existence.
Okay.
I don't know why we're hung up on the blueprint aspect, because something that is, would you agree that if something is intricate, it requires a mind?
If something is intricate, it requires a mind. No, I reject that.
But in our created order, I'm saying, like, for a car, for example, if something we create, if something
for
is going
some
to be
things,
intricate,
yes, but not for everything, not across the board.
Okay. What are some things that do not require a mind in our created order that we would put together, we would create?
That we would create that do not create? Well, that's nonsensical, because you're saying something what we would create that does not require a mind. That means that we're not using our minds to create, and that doesn't make sense. It's a contradiction.
That's what I'm telling you.
Okay, so
That's exactly what I'm explaining.
okay.
I'm explaining something in the created order, like a car, for example. Everything that we create as human beings require a human mind, correct?
From what we know, yes. Yes. But see,
Okay.
that's the thing, is you're presupposing that planets are created by a mind. And I'm telling you that's not the case. The evidence that we have is that it's created by a process, or it's created by something else, not a mind. That's the evidence that we have. So that's why I'm asking you, what's your evidence that it's created by a mind? One of the things that would demonstrate that is blueprints. Wouldn't you agree?
No, no, I would not agree. No,
Okay.
because if we can agree that something in our created order, a car, for example, that is something that we put together, if it's intricate, then it required obviously a human mind.
Yeah, intricacy
Regardless.
doesn't automatically equal made by a mind. That's what I'm
Why
saying. I'm pushing back on that because, again, we
Okay,
have
so-
evidence of things that are intricate in the universe that are not created by minds.
No,
we
I'm talking
know
about
that
our world.
yeah,
I'm
in
talking
our
about
world,
our
again,
world.
in our world, we know they're not created by minds.
No,
And
I'm
on top
saying-
of that,
no,
okay, and
something
so
that we create.
all right, well,
something that we
hold that
create.
thought, Caleb. We have a kick poll. So, okay, so we're up on our first kick poll today, everybody. Like, Caleb, you made it, so congratulations, because the other callers were having issues. So, so props to you for that. Okay, so we're gonna start the kick poll, real quick, and
What is it? Oh, it's a kick. Oh, okay.
it's to keep you for more time or to move on to the next guest. So, all right, it's started on the YouTube side. Yeah, so I've changed things up since you last showed up here. And doing it on the TikTok side. So,
I usually require guests to send a galaxy if they want to drop a guest. But
yeah, I have a jellyfish if they want to immediately drop, but that's like, extremo situations. You know what I mean? All right, happy face to keep Caliph, or crying face to move on to the next guest. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is that, like, we have, like, what we know, the evidence that we have for planets being formed, for example, Caliph, is gravity. Gravity formed these planets. That's the evidence that we have. So we don't have any evidence that a mind did this. And that's why I'm asking you for your evidence that a mind did this. And all you're trying to tell me is that intricacy is what points to a mind creating things, when that's not the case. We have more, it's more than just intricacy. We know very confidently that gravity formed these planets.
Okay, I understand that, but
Yeah.
we're talking about we're talking about things that we create, and you agreed that nothing that we create can come into existence, can be created without a mind.
As far as we know for our things, but that doesn't extend to things like trees and rocks and water and things like that. Because the other thing, well, yeah, it looks like they want to.
No, brother, I'm not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, they want to move on to the next guest, but hey, I appreciate you coming. We'll come back another day,
No
and maybe we can
problem.
pick it up from here. All right.
I will. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, you got it. All right. Have a good one.